the halal comedy show. So obviously you just said it's not really going on anymore, yeah?
Yeah, no, we shelved that, but we're
Why?
still going to keep the concept going. So it was called Halal Fried Comics, and I was running it with another Muslim comic. And yeah, why would I shelve something that was so successful? It was backed by Islam Channel, so they had us on, and they promoted it first opening show. It always sold out as well. So we were doing it in Piccadilly Circus with the Aziz Foundation, who is like a really interesting organization that promotes Muslims in power, like into elite positions through education. And we wanted to create like a platform for people who are Muslim to come into an unlicensed venue and enjoy comedy that's not gonna, give them like problems in hell.
Yeah. I want to ask you like a very interesting question for me anyway. Like, you see us as Muslims, yeah? Obviously with my cousin, he makes music as well, yeah? And obviously as Muslims, we're not really allowed to make music or do certain things, obviously, yeah? Like, you see within obviously, your family, your community, from your people, what are their thoughts? Like, what are their thoughts in terms of like, like your comedy journey, and sometimes the type of obviously jokes that you tell sometimes, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I've been lucky because my family haven't seen all my comedy.
Why not?
So, because my dad, he's not very good at the internet. So, at the beginning, I did do some jokes about butt plugs and things like that.
Shit.
So, he has seen that because my daughter showed him. And
what was his reaction?
And I don't think he understood what a butt plug was.
Okay.
So he was laughing. He's the kind of guy that will just see another person laughing in the room and be like,
okay,
I got to do this thing because everyone else is laughing. So he did that. But then when I broke it down for him, he really just sort of like withdrew. I think he withdrew mentally. Yeah. Like when he figured out what a butt plug was, and that it was something that was a joke about my ex-husband and his knob size. Yeah, that was what it was. But halal comedy is the opposite. I had to teach people how to do halal comedy. So at the beginning, a lot of jokes are kind of like that, because you do poo jokes and you do genital jokes. They're really like entry-level jokes, and they're funny to you, but like they're not funny to everybody else, and you got to develop the jokes, and it's harder. Doing halal comedy is so hard. Like, you are going to be TV ready by the time you master halal comedy.
So once again, for me and the people that are going to be watching here, what exactly does halal comedy mean?
I think it's basically comedy that's going to be talking about the permissible subjects. You're not going to be talking about infidelity gratuitously. You're not going to do the type of subjects which is glorifying haram things, because that will alienate your audience. Like, there are going to be a mixture of conservative people in the audience and liberal Muslims, because there were Muslims in tech that really want to just engage in social life of London. But they don't want to be sort of engaging in that haram stuff either. So they want to hear stuff that's relevant to them. So yeah, you can talk about Muzmatch, and is it permissible to say it's like Muzmatch is like Tinder but with more bum hair? That it's probably not halal.
Saleha, stop it, man.
Probably not halal.
Like, you see, like, obviously as a Muslim woman, yeah, and obviously like in terms of like the culture where you come from, like, do you sometimes, like you said, sometimes you do halal obviously comedy, and sometimes you do the madness, like proper no filter comedy, yeah? You see, in terms of both of them, yeah, do you sometimes feel a little bit conflicted, or do you sometimes feel like you got like a good balance in between both worlds, if you're going to understand? Do you feel like, sometimes you feel like maybe I might need to leave this side one day, or sometimes you feel like, nah, I proper got a good balance between halal and fuck it? If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I did that tour, the Funny Muslim Ladies tour,
Yeah.
and that was with a lot of hijabis. And in that time, I became like, you know what? I was like, I walked out of the tour and I was like, I'm ready to start wearing a headscarf now.
Oh,
Yeah, that I felt good.
Oh.
Actually, like that doing that comedy was making me feel very spiritually quite good. And I think being in touch with, being in the community of other comics who are Muslim, and being encouraged to celebrate that part of my like spirituality and my religion, and like pushing myself to just stay permissible within the permissible areas was really good for me, and I want to continue doing those tours. But like it didn't take long because sometimes I forget the question, but like
No, I
it
got
doesn't take
you.
me long. Ramadan's going to bring it back again, so Ramadan comedy is really tough. Because I find Ramadan tough generally. So I use comedy to stay anchored to my faith. But it's hard to switch gears. It's hard to switch codes, you know, when you're speaking with your
mum, your brother, your friends.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's the work guy that you're going to speak to in your white voice, and then there's like the roadmen that you hang out with, and that's going to be a different code.
shower man. Yeah, that's what we say. Yeah. But yeah, so even like moving forward, has it ever like crossed your mind in terms of like leaning towards one side more than the other? Like as time goes on, like has it ever crossed your mind in terms of like thinking to yourself, the more that I do comedy and the more established that I get, I'm gonna lean more towards halal or lean more towards butt plugs and all of those things, them kind of jokes.
Yeah. No, I did that yesterday. I think like
What,
yesterday.
butt plugs? What did you do yesterday?
Yeah, no, I did a sort of no filter because it's Valentine's, pre-Valentine's, and I was feeling really riled up about Valentine's, and I got Valentine's Day tension.
Yeah.
So I had to do a gloves off type of. It was basically a rant about all the men. You know the situation.
Why did you blast us?
I did. I was blasting the young men.
We
I was
love you.
blasting the old men. And basically.
We love you.
Yeah.
Well, why would you blast us? We love you, man.
Well, first of all, where did the older men go? I was saying, like, where the 40 to 50-year-olds go.
He said they went Sainsbury's and what did he say?
Well, they went to a home improvement store and never came out.
They never came out. Jesus Christ.
We're talking about football
Yeah.
and cryptocurrency, and then bored each other to death.
Hey.
But my complaint about 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds is
Yeah.
when you date them in an age gap relationship.
Like, I mean, when you date a 20-year-old, even my cousin here maybe can agree. When you date a 20-year-old, yeah, deep down, obviously sometimes you've got the anomalies where, you know, they're 20, but mentally it's like they're a little bit older than their age, they act and like as if they're older than they are. But 9 times out of 10, like you should know, like if you date a 20-year-old, 9 times out of 10, you're basically dating a kid. Mentally, you're dating a kid who 9 times out of 10 just wants to fuck to keep it real with you and not really ready for a relationship. As a guy, I'm being blunt to you. Like I said, sometimes you meet like a special one, anomaly, who is young, is a little bit grown mentally and wants to settle down. But 9 times out of 10, more 20-year-olds, they just want to fuck and just catch different bodies and just keep it moving, have a different time.
Yeah, but it's seeing through that, isn't it? It's seeing through what they're saying, because what they say is, I'm an alpha, you're an alpha, I see you, I'm an alpha too. And then they start going, well, look, let me let you in on something. I know people don't like Andrew Tate, but, you know, if you really listen to him, if you actually listen to him, he's got a lot of, like, sense. Look, you're this is a joke. This brother has got nothing useful to say, right? But they think they're letting you in on the inner sanctum and telling you some home truths, and that's what makes them seem mature. But they also say they bring their sexual confidence. And they're much more mature than like the 40 to 50-year-old timid men who are like, sorry, you know, all the time. But they're like, look, I see you. I'm sexually confident too. These guys aren't sexually confident. I
was going to say, I don't agree with that bit of what you said.
Where the
the
20-year-old...
25-year-old.
No, let's say, for example, when they talk about, like, the extra stuff about their personal whatever, that's a him thing. That's what he thinks. So there's certain stuff that he says that I do agree with, and certain stuff that he says, no, you can tell his ego's just flaring up, you know what I mean?
Oh, but they do it so well, though. They're so pleasant in their manner. But, like, he'll say, you know, I'm sexually confident. I like doing it al fresco. And,
What's that? What's al fresco?
Outside sex. And that's like, you know, kinky. And I'm like, well, no, actually, it's not because you want to do it outside. It's because you live with your mum. and like the only other place you have rights of way is outside, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, like, big up the 20-year-olds, man. Like, do you feel like also like obviously because the times that we're living in are completely different compared to when we was growing up, you know? Like, do you feel like you know, like the 20-year-olds of nowadays, they're a little bit more mentally like a little bit more fucked than when we was 20?
Yeah, probably. I think they might be, in the sense that they have got such good riz. Like, it's hard to, you have to unpack the riz, and then what lies underneath is fiscally unstable children. That's what lies underneath. And they're doing really well for themselves because they're capturing all these Mrs. Robinson type characters. And it's really common, isn't it, having age gap relationships? But yeah, I just find that perhaps there's nothing wrong with them. They're really smooth. I don't know. I think people who are 40 to 50 are very timid.
You think so?
Yeah.
What kind of 40-year-olds have you been fucking with?
I haven't. Like, not since I've been 20. That's the problem. They just disappeared. I don't know where they are. Have you been on Muzmatch?
What the fuck is that?
Muslim dating.
No, I've got a Muslim woman right in front of me. Why am I gonna go to a Muslim like dating app? Nah, I've never. It sounds like Tinder or one of them.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, what have you been on there?
Of course, yeah. I had to.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to. How can you not? Let me. Have you not heard of this? Salams as well. Salams and Muzmatch.
Dabs, have you heard of any of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been on them, but
Yeah. No, I mean, in real life, like years and years ago when I was a bit younger, I used to try plenty of fish and whatever, but again, I just wanted to fuck. So now, again, I don't feel like, for me personally, I don't feel like dating websites are for me. I feel like if I'm gonna have a chance to meet like, you know, a woman that could actually, you know, like what I keep on saying to you, like settle down with and create some happy, good memories with, it's gonna need to be like face to face, like in real life, and then we can just build a rapport from there. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because you meet some really odd characters on Muzmatch. You know, they're all from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
I met a Ghanaian person, and he was Muslim, and he had never heard of ghosting, which is a good thing, yeah. But then I met a guy who hadn't heard of the Romans. Yeah, can you imagine a person not knowing who the Romans are?
I can't imagine this. They didn't study.
There's a layer of like, he doesn't understand straight roads, baths. Is it really important? I don't know. But there was a guy who didn't know who Charles Darwin was. He had never heard of the theory of evolution.
Do you remember?
I feel like people are sorry to cut you.
No,
I feel
come on.
like people are in this day and age, not in a bad way. Yeah, I just think people are making it a choice to be. I wouldn't say caught up in their own bubble, for example. I don't want to use the word stupid as well. But people are so caught up in their own little thing, for example, that everything outside. It's either you find people that are overly thinking, basically there's too much information out there that some people are just closed off and some people know everything, but now it doesn't make sense as well. It's too confusing in this day and age.
Yeah.
Because also remember sometimes when, like for the human mind, when you feed the human mind too much information, after a while the brain gets a little bit overwhelmed, doesn't it? So I think within this new information age that all of us are living in, I feel like a lot of different people just like what he said, some people, you know, like would want to learn about more different things or whatever. Even some of those things that they learn about, they use it within their own life versus certain people that they get a lot of information and they just choose after a while to just like, you know, like to either like to just shut off or even sometimes this has happened to me, like when it comes to certain things, when it came to like a certain topic where so many people was talking about it, that person was giving their opinion, she was giving her opinion, so many different people was giving their own opinions on one thing. And when I watched so many different people like doing that, after a while I was confused. I was thinking, who the fuck do I believe? Like I got overwhelmed. I was thinking, do I believe her? Do I believe him? Whatever. Do you get to the sense? Sometimes I think with too much information as well, that could happen to the mind where it's like your mind thinks, I'm confused, like, what do I believe? Like, is he telling the truth or whatever? Even with this CMOS, all of these things, it's like, you get to a point when you're like, who's selling the best CMOS? Is this fake, whatever? So I feel like some people's minds get to a point where they just shut off or they just like, you know what?
So evolution is not competitive enough with CMOS. Okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. I mean, what do Muslims need with evolution anyway, right? Like, we don't even. Zakir Naik said it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So.
Now you'd be surprised, man. Some people they're just like, this is why, like, you know, like the human being, yeah. You see the human being mind. This is why the human being mind is so, like, fascinating. It's so interesting because us three here, we're here right now. But best believe or not, he lives in his own world. I live in my own world to a certain degree, and you live in your own world. Like, you got to say, it's like, it's
Yeah.
so, the human mind is crazy. Even though we're in the same place right now, but best believe us three, we are in, like, you know, three different worlds. You know, you live your own reality. I live my own reality. He lives his own reality. So, hey.
I mean, you asked me, so what do you know about what happened about world events in 2024? And I was like, you know, I was living under a rock. It's so easy to live under a rock. I don't remember anything that happened in 2024, apart from maybe Diddy.
Oh, shit. Yeah. You know what?
That blew up then, didn't it?
Yeah.
Other than that, an election, maybe an election happened.
Yeah. For me personally, to protect my mind and my sanity, I try to block out so many different things, or even not even just watch them, or even follow certain pages or whatever, because I feel, like I said, for me, when I get too much information overload, like, I get confused.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is what I'm going to do when I'm older, and I think this is going to have to... I think I do need to get off the tech. So I was in Internet and Tech Addicts Anonymous, and that was like the most eye-opening program, because, you know, if you're streaming that heavily and it's interrupting your life, then you got to take a break from it. And I had to take a break from it because it wasn't like Netflix and chill. It was like Netflix and lie there for 13 hours straight until I get a panic attack about re-entering my reality.
Fucking hell,
There
man.
was no chill. So I feel like I'm going to get off tech eventually.
Why are you still on it now?
I am on it because you have to be. If you're in comedy, you have to do your marketing, and it's like the worst part of it. My page is embarrassingly low on followers, which means I have to improve my sort of like the editing of any videos that I do and put them up, and then be more forthcoming about getting followers and things like that.
And even when I say something, I don't think there's anything embarrassing about having a low follower, because I've been doing this for a good few years and still I consider my following a little bit low. The way I just look at it is like this social media, it's like there's people who are professionals and there's people who know how to, you know, like to do these videos and to do all of these things to get engagement and to have a following in it. Where it's like, I just look at it like a lot of us, we just normal people who we're on social media, we're trying to upload on social media, but we don't really know how to do all of these little things that some of these people know how to do to grow, you know, to grow their following or whatever. And it's like, it is what it is. Hence why sometimes it's like we've got a choice either to try to pay someone to do it for us, or like what we were speaking about earlier, or to get Copcat, or try to invest some time in these apps to try to learn different ways in terms of like improving our videos, innit? So yeah, like it's like a classroom. You're always gonna get, it's like a class, innit? You're always gonna get kids that are smarter than other kids.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like just because that child, that one, you know, smarter than that one, doesn't mean that it's better than him. It just means mentally they just know a little bit more about you than, you know what I'm trying to say. So
yeah, I think it's embarrassingly low because my daughter's
It's not
got more followers than I do, and that's why it's embarrassingly
Well,
low.
it's their generation though.
That's I can't say that to her. She'll like bury me if I say
Yeah, I
that.
know. Obviously, I'm having a behind the scenes conversation with you. But yeah, I think their generation, for example, I always say I do music, for example, and this new generation, everything just works.